Hello, everyone, and welcome to this audio podcast. This audio podcast, as part of a Convolute flashback. This audio podcast, as part of a RainZtorm Squal. This audio podcast, as part of an MHC Bostics, and this audio podcast, as part of a Storm Robotics production. In this audio podcast, a bit of an overview around the aims and objectives of this sort of retrospective works from 2014. And at the same time, one of the lead researchers in this works presented presented bases in around this works at the National Kidney Federation, the National Kidney Federation (NKF) seminar or conference in 2014 in 2014, and so in this audio podcast, that a bit some parts in around the aims and objectives. So the aims of this work was to generally introduce and evaluate an inventive patient involvement project in an academic institution setting. The objectives around this works were: number one, to utilize sort of anonymous patient-to-patient discussions that took place through the Renal Patient Support Group, the RPSG, and two to facilitate a learning for second year student nurses on an undergrad program by highlighting the awareness and the importance of patient or recipient perspective and around hemodialysis, and particularly and specifically around hemodialysis vascular access care. In around vascular access, there is online. There's through sort of varying sort of search engines online. Varying search engines online. There is literature and there's evidence and literature to inform of and around varying vascular access and varying forms of sort of treatment modalities. And so with this audio podcast series, there will be sort of some references or citations that can be referred to for further sort of insights for listeners who would like to find out more about sort of the around sort of vascular access modalities in around kidney disease and kidney care, around kidney care. So those were the sort of main sort of aims and objectives of this works. And so there will be an audio podcast subsequently looking at sort of the social media perspective and in around the sort of social media aspect, and sort of in around the healthcare education aspect in around this works. So that draws this audio podcast to a close. This has been an audio podcast as part of the Convolute flashback, an audio podcast as part of the RainZtorm Squal, an audio podcast as part of the MHC Bostics, an audio podcast as part of a Storm Robotics production. Thank you.